This is the Phase Nano, an incredibly light, extremely breathable, very packable, award-winning jacket from Montane. Montane have been famous for running gear for years, and we love it in Outside. They do race packs and everything these days. But this waterproof stands head and shoulders for me above nearly everything out there on the market. So I want to make something clear to start with. This is sort of based as a running jacket, but it definitely doesn't have to be a running jacket. It's basically for anyone wanting to move fast in the hills or basically have a really light but really reliable waterproof. So please keep an open mind with this jacket. So one of the main problems we have with running jackets is most people look at weight and they'll just go, oh, what's the lightest tape seam jacket I can get that'll tick the box for a fell race, because you have to have a tape seam jacket. Then most brands will make one, but it's not particularly nice to run in. It can be sticky, clammy, not very durable, but you've ticked the box. And then they'll sometimes do a slightly heavier one that's nice to run in, but then when you take it off, it's not very light. So why not have the best of everything? And I reckon this jacket does it all. So why do I think this jacket's so good? Mainly because it uses Gore-Tex. So most running jackets are cheaper than this, I'll be honest. They are cheaper priced because they're not using Gore-Tex. They'll use a different membrane which might make it softer or lighter or something like that, but it generally means it's not as waterproof and maybe not as breathable. So the Gore-Tex they've used in this is Gore-Tex Active. Gore-Tex Active is the most breathable membrane that Gore-Tex make. Now, RET ratings and vapor transfer rates are confusing, but basically this has a RET rating of below 3, which is probably the most breathable on the market, certainly the most that Gore-Tex make. So it's sort of perfect for a jacket like this. But also what's really good about that is it doesn't compromise the waterproofing at all. It still achieves a 28,000 hydrostatic head. So if you don't know what that means, basically it's about as waterproof as you can get on the market. So you might say, why doesn't everyone just use Gore-Tex Active? Now there is, if anything, a downside is it's not as durable as things like Performance or Pro, but they are always heavier, always crunchier and not as breathable. So they don't work as well for jackets like this, quick moving, lightweight, breathable jackets. So some of the features on this are pretty simple really. It's got an incredibly light 13 denier face fabric. Now, yes, like I said, it's not as durable as a burly 80 denier mountaineering jackets, but it's not designed for that. But that does allow it to be incredibly light. So a 3-layer Gore-Tex jacket with pockets and a nice hood comes in at 250 grams for the men's and 220 for the women's. Now the reason I say I don't think it's a running only jacket is, I mean, what more do you want from a walking jacket? Hand pockets, good hood, fully waterproof, 3-layer, very breathable. I mean, amazing. If you are out all day in really bad weather, yeah, you might want something a bit heavier duty if you're walking, but when it's in your bag, it's the lightest you can get, and when you use it, it's the most breathable you can get. So the other things I really like is how simple it is. Like I said, just hand pockets, really like the bungee cuffs, no Velcro on here, slide nicely on if you've got some thin running gloves as well. And I like the fact that the top comes down a little bit further than the bottom, so you can just cover those wrists on a cold, damp day. The hood again is really simple but really effective. Nice 3 pull cords, get it nice and tight, and a wired peak. So that's such a British thing, having a wired peak. It's great when it's really hooning it down, really windy. You can just protect yourself nicely. The liner or the backer of the jacket just feels brilliant as well. It's really, really light. And if you do ever wear it against the skin, like I am right now actually, it actually feels really nice. Remember like pack-light jackets or some of the other lighter running waterproofs, it can feel quite sticky, especially on a day when it's quite wet and humid. You can feel really clingy quite quickly. This allows freedom of movement, much nicer to use. It's really nice and short at the front, so you can get your legs up high if you are moving fast, but it comes a little bit lower at the back, just covering your bum. And it's got nice pull cords on the hem if you really want to seal in any warmth you're creating. Most gear I wear is a large, but this is actually an extra large, so do bear that in mind when you're choosing your size. What all those sort of features and comfort and everything means is, I actually imagine you'll leave this on a lot more than other waterproofs, because normally you're worrying about how light it is. Yeah, this is incredibly light, but there are lighter. But the main thing is you'll have it on. You'll just leave it on, so when it's showering and then it stops. Most of the time I would take a standard running waterproof off because they just get clammy and sweaty. You feel so much more comfortable in this. Yeah, however, if you do end up taking it off, it rolls up really small, it'll even shove in my bum bag, and why wouldn't you take it with you? It's had some really good reviews and endorsements recently as well, because it won Best Running Waterproof in Trail Magazine 2023, and Rob Greenwood from UKC, avid hill runner these days, he says it's his favourite running waterproof ever. So, I mean, that's a good shout, isn't it? I think if you intend to use it with a heavy rucksack regularly, I would go for something a bit more burly. But if you just want a lightweight waterproof for running, walking, camping, anything, you can't go far wrong with this.